Welcome back to the flipped classroom with Mrs. Campbell. It's so nice to have you here. I know I have not uploaded any videos in a while, but here goes. All right, so we'll be looking at family law, and this is C-Sex Social Studies, of course. And we are using the flipped classroom modality, which means that you're presented with the information to peruse at home and to make your notes, as well as for you to answer some simple questions on at the end, after which we will have problem solving, question working, project-based learning inside the classroom. Now, as I said before, we're looking at family law, but let us look at the objectives associated with this lesson. So we have 4 objectives, and in this aspect we will be looking at give the meaning of the term family law, state the title of 4 laws related to the family in Jamaica, explain the contents of laws related to childcare, divorce, inheritance, and domestic violence in Jamaica, and finally, show appreciation for the laws enacted to protect the interests of family members when families malfunction. So, what is family law though? Well, simply put, family law is any law that relates to family issues, family relationships, how families that regulates the relationship among family members. In situations such as marriage, divorce, domestic violence, annulment, adoption, alimony, separation, etc. Why is family law important? And if you really think about it, you could come up with a couple reasons of your own. But here are a few. Families, there are increasing family breakups. There are, when there are cases, to prevent cases of domestic violence, abuse experienced by vulnerable family members, changes in Caribbean culture, it gives rise to a need for new laws to be formulated. In addition to these, it prevents situations that causes neglect, child abuse, that, allows vulnerable members of the family to be victimized. Now, the 4 laws to be covered here are inheritance, childcare, divorce, and domestic violence. And we're having a beautiful day right here in Jamaica. And so, right, what is the inheritance law? Here are the key terms on the inheritance law: inheritance, beneficiary, and will. Inheritance is essentially the money or property that passes from a deceased person to their successors. The beneficiary is the person who is receiving the inheritance, while the will is the document that describes or outlines what the person should receive. Now, please make sure that you pay attention to the fact that inheritance laws prevents relatives from taking money or property that really belongs to the individual it was intended for, that really belongs to the beneficiary. Matters relating to inheritance laws are dealt with under the Succession Act. So the name of the law is Succession Act. And there have been some amendments to the Succession Act, such as the fact that before the amendments, in common law unions, the surviving spouse was not usually entitled to anything. But now you know that if in a common law relationship, one spouse dies, the other does have rights to property, etc., and money that was a part of the union. Secondly, children born out of wedlock before the amendment were not entitled to any inheritance from their parents if they were not because they were born out of wedlock. However, these children based on the amendment are now entitled and have the same rights as children born to married parents. Now we're going to move over to child care law. The child care law, I'm sorry, I think we have gone a little bit too far. What is the child care law? The child care law really is called the Child Care and Protection Act, otherwise known as the CCPA. And what it does is that it protects children from abuse and neglect. It ensures that children are maintained by their parents, and it provides for the rights of children whose parents have died. It allows for new organizations like the Office of the Children's Advocate, etc., to be formulated, as well as it provides for the rights of children whose parents have been divorced. Now, looking closely at the Child Care and Protection Act, we will realize that the rules, they apply to everybody who has to interact with children. And children a child is defined as anyone from 0 to 18. So teachers, daycare center workers, anyone, any and every adult has a responsibility under this law to ensure that children are taken care of and are protected. The Maintenance Act, on the other hand, is particular towards children being maintained by their parents as long as they're under 18 years of age, or in cases where the children are in need of assistance beyond the age of 18 to complete their education, that parents take on this responsibility, as well as in the case where children have disabilities, are unable to take care of themselves because of disabilities, that parents continue to support them financially. It's such a beautiful day. Now, divorce law. Under the divorce law, there are 4 key terms, some of which you are aware of. So divorce, this is the legal ending of a marriage. And divorce is different from separation or legal separation in that in a divorce, the marriage is ended, done, capuch, finale. In a legal separation, the couple separates and live separate lives independent of each, without interference in each other's lives. However, they are still, and I repeat, they are still married. An annulment is different from a divorce in that the annulment cancels a marriage that should not have taken place in the first place. The marriage is not taken to be legal. It is not legal, and such the marriage is annulled. It's not divorced. It is annulled, meaning that it is treated as though it never happened. Alimony now is the money that is given, ordered by a court to be given to a spouse after a divorce or during a legal separation. And this takes place when one spouse was being financially taken care of by another, and the spouse that was being taken care of now after the divorce or the legal separation cannot take care of themselves or are not able to, and so the other spouse is required to continue taking care of them financially. We're going to move quickly now. Divorce can only be granted under 3 terms. There are some conditions under which divorce may be granted, and we're going to look at 3 of them. 1, the partner must provide evidence that the marriage has broken down to a point where it cannot be fixed, it cannot be repaired. All right, and this is referred to as irretrievable breakdown of the marriage. Secondly, the partners have to prove to the court that they have separated and live apart for a period of not less than 12 months before filing for the divorce. Also, it could be that the partners have been married. If you're married for less than 2 years, rather, the court will not deal with your application unless you can prove that both parties have made attempts at reconciliation with the assistance of a marriage counselor. Domestic violence. Domestic violence is defined as violence committed in the domestic circle, and this would include partners, ex-partners, immediate family members, family friends, etc., relatives. The term is used to refer to persons in close relationships who suffer from threat, bully, physical, mental, emotional, whatever type of violence the case may be. Usually this is between adults. However, children can be affected by domestic violence in that if they indirectly or directly, in that if they witness domestic violence taking place, it can affect them emotionally and otherwise, as well as they can be affected by the mere fact that their loved ones are being abused. Now, the laws relating to domestic violence in Jamaica is referred to as the Domestic Violence Act. And Jamaica has signed on to a number of other treaties, or should I not say treaties, to other conventions and plans of actions to assist them in ensuring that they eradicate or at least prevent or reduce domestic violence, especially against women and children. But do not be of the mindset that domestic violence can only happen to women and children. Men do suffer from domestic violence as well. Now, why should there be laws against domestic violence? And 3 points are highlighted here. Of course, to stop physical harm, and let's open that up to include men as well within the domestic circle, as well as to prevent stronger people from taking advantage of the weaker ones and to get justice, arrest offenders, and help victims. But what is domestic violence though? Sorry, not what is domestic violence. They, as I said before, I've mentioned this, they have made efforts to review the Domestic Violence Act. They have signed on to the Commonwealth Plan of Action and the United Nations Drive Against Domestic Violence. And that takes us to the end of this presentation. Now, once again, I remind you, please make notes from the information that has been provided, review the information thoroughly, and complete the questions that are below. Thank you very much. See you in class.